Hi guys! I was supposed to record this video during the day, but then something came up and now it's late at night, so I apologize for the bad lighting and also for my hair because I'm so tired right now and I didn't want to dry it and style it after the shower anymore. So I'm sorry, but you know, hopefully you'll find the content of this video really interesting, so let's get into that. Some of you asked me to make a video about different owl characteristics, like for example, which owls are easy to keep as a pet and which aren't. So yeah, today I'm gonna make a video about the kinds of owls with which I have experience, and I'll tell you what I know about them. So here goes. We'll start with the most obvious one, being the barn owl, because I have a barn owl myself. And from there on, we'll just compare the other species with the barn owl. So as you all know, I have a barn owl myself, and I can tell you that barn owls are the easiest owl to keep as a beginner. They are easy to train, and with training I mean flying. They learn how to fly fairly quickly, they're easy to train, they're easy to imprint, they are very gentle and not too stubborn. Of course, whether a bird is stubborn doesn't only depend on the species, but maybe you didn't know this, but every owl has its own character. There are sweet owls, there are bitchy owls, there are stubborn owls, there are lazy owls. Just like humans, they actually have their own character traits, which is really nice. It makes them really special. But in general, they're not too stubborn, they're very gentle, very intelligent, and they are easy to keep. They hunt at twilight. Most people think that all owls hunt during the night, and this is actually not true. Barn owls hunt at twilight because they see best at twilight. When it's pitch dark, they see just as little as us humans. They see best at twilight, so they hunt at twilight, but sometimes they also hunt during the day. For example, when they have owlets, they have to hunt during the day because otherwise they can never provide enough mice for their babies. If they would only hunt at twilight when they have babies, they just wouldn't be able to collect enough food for their babies to survive. So yeah, they also hunt at daylight when they have babies. The next one we're going to talk about is the little owl. And I actually had a little owl myself up until a year ago, but unfortunately it passed away. I rescued it from falconers who were mistreating it. Actually, my mentors called me up and they said, Elke, look, there's this falconer in our region who's mistreating his birds, and there's this one bird in particular and he's not even looking at it anymore. He doesn't even feed it anymore, so if we don't go to take it, it's going to die. And the falconer wanted to get rid of it anyway, so they called me up to see if I was willing to take the bird in my home and take care of it. And I actually didn't want a second owl because I wanted to spend all my time on Loki, but my mentors told me that if I wouldn't take it in my home, it would die for sure, because they didn't have the space for another owl anymore. They wanted to save it, but they just didn't have the space. So yeah, I took it in my home because I just could not let it die. That's not the kind of person I am, so I decided to help this little bird out and give it a nice home. And I was able to rehabilitate it because it was extremely traumatized by the abuse. So it turned out to be a nice bird after all, after I rehabilitated it. But unfortunately, after 2 years, it died anyway. But that's okay, shit happens. So anyway, this is how I know about little owls. The funniest characteristic about this species is that they bark like dogs. My mentor actually told me this before we went to pick her up. He told me like, yeah, they can bark. And they do it when they feel really good and calm and relaxed, then they bark. And so at the beginning, Yoshi, that's how we called her, Yoshi didn't bark because obviously she didn't feel good in the beginning. She was extremely scared and it took us months to rehabilitate her. But once she started feeling safe with us and relaxed, she's actually started to bark. And it's not like they bark all day, but she barked like during the day once or twice, or sometimes 3 times in a row. Short little barks like a chihuahua actually. And sometimes she also barked at night when she was dreaming. This one time my boyfriend came down the stairs because he had to pee, and he walked by Yoshi, and Yoshi was actually asleep with her eyes closed, and suddenly she was like "Burp!" and she barked herself awake, and it was hilarious. My boyfriend almost died from laughing and woke me up. So yeah, it was really funny when she did it, and it actually sounds like a little dog, like a real chihuahua. The first time she did it, it also happened at night when I was laying in bed, and suddenly I heard barking, and I was like, huh? Did my neighbors get a new dog? Because I knew they had dogs, but they had big dogs, and this sounded like a really small dog, but it sounded so real that I was actually convinced my neighbors bought a new dog. So yeah, that's really funny. So they do that when they're completely relaxed, and yeah, that's really funny. As you might have noticed from the picture, they're pretty small, but they have the character of a golden eagle, which means they can be really stubborn. They're also quite shy and timid, and they scare easily. So you can get just as good of a bond with them as you could with a barn owl, but it will just take more effort. You're gonna have to put more effort in it. You're gonna have to imprint them very well, and you're gonna have to spend a lot of time with them. Take them on the glove with you, watch TV with them, cuddle with them a lot from a very young age. You can definitely get a bond with a little owl, just as I have with Lucky, but it's just gonna take more effort. Also, try to socialize them really well, because they scare easily. As you can see, their eyes are yellow. And there's actually a really cool trick with which you can tell whether an owl hunts at twilight, at night, or at sunrise and sunset. And that's the color of the eyes. If an owl has black eyes, like Lucky for example, then it hunts at twilight. If the eyes are yellow, like with the little owl, then they hunt during the day. If the eyes are orange, like with an eagle owl, then they hunt at sunrise and sunset. It's like the color of the eyes correspond with the sun. So a little owl hunts during the day when it's sunny, so the eyes are yellow, and at sunrise and sunset the sky is kind of orangey, you know what I mean? So an eagle owl who hunts at sunrise and sunset has orange eyes. Logical, no? So yeah, the little owl hunts during the day. What's also important to say is that the little owl doesn't only eat one-day-old chicks and mice, for example, but it also eats mealworms. You don't have to give them mealworms, but you could. It's just really important to know that they can't survive on mealworms only, okay? Another thing that's really important to know is that the little owl is way harder to train to fly than the barn owl, for example, because they're just a little bit more stubborn, and they don't trust as easily as a barn owl. It takes a lot of commitment to earn their trust. And as I've said, they're kind of stubborn, so if they don't want to fly, they don't want to fly. And then the third owl we're going to talk about is the Rufous-legged owl. These are super cute. I really love the way they look, and they're almost as easy to keep as a barn owl. They are also really gentle, but maybe just a little bit more stubborn than a barn owl. You could experience some trouble when trying to fly them. They can be a bit stubborn, and it may take you a bit longer to learn them how to fly. But if you persist and be patient, then you'll definitely get there. I know my mentors had a little bit of trouble training their Rufous-legged owl, but eventually it did fly, even at demonstrations. And yeah, sometimes he just didn't feel like it, and he was like, screw you, if you want me to eat, just bring my food, bitch. It was pretty funny, it just didn't want to come. And not even when it was hungry actually, but they persisted and they stayed very patient, and eventually it learned how to fly, and it even flies at demonstrations. And yeah, sometimes even at demonstrations, it's just like, screw it, I'm not gonna do anything today. And I guess that's okay. I mean, they're animals. You can't force them to do anything. So if you have patience, then go for it. And then last but not least, there's the eagle owl. And there are more than 3 different eagle owls, but I'm just gonna mention 3, and that's the Asian eagle owl, the African eagle owl, and the European eagle owl. They're all very big, and I would not recommend getting an eagle owl as a beginner, because you can create a bond with an eagle owl just like I did with Lucky. You can even cuddle them. My mentor does it when he takes his European eagle owl, which is huge, on his glove. He holds him against his shoulder and the eagle owl actually cuddles. It's extremely cute, but you also have to keep in mind that if this bird has a bad day and you make a mistake and you interpret his behavior the wrong way, which can happen, you're human, you're not an owl, you don't speak its language, and maybe in the beginning you don't know your owl yet and you make a mistake and it bites you, the consequences may be severe. So that's why I don't recommend getting an eagle owl as a beginner. Also, you're gonna make mistakes in the education. You make mistakes with your first child, with your first dog, with your first cat, and with your first owl. It's normal. But if you make a mistake with a barn owl and your barn owl develops unwanted behavior, you can try to correct the behavior and deal with it without getting hurt, because it's still a quite small bird. They are still dangerous. Barn owls are also dangerous. They can really hurt you with their talons, but it's not the same with an eagle owl, because birds of prey crush their prey with their talons. The talons of an eagle owl are believed to exert a pressure of about 750 pounds per square inch. Can you imagine flying your eagle owl and making a mistake which leads to your eagle owl landing on your shoulder and it starts pinching or crushing your shoulder? I've heard stories about people having to go to the hospital with broken shoulders. That's how strong they are. My mentor actually made a mistake when I watched him train, and I yelled at him like, "Watch out, the bird is coming already!" His eagle owl was coming when my mentor was still picking up a one-day-old chick that he had dropped. And if I hadn't yelled at him, then he wouldn't have noticed and the eagle owl would have just landed on his back or his shoulder. And eagle owls can be more aggressive when it comes to food than barn owls. It kind of depends on the bird. Like I said, every bird has its own character. Lucky isn't aggressive with her food at all, but I've known barn owls who are pretty aggressive with their food. And so it also depends on the character of your bird itself, but eagle owls can definitely be even more aggressive with their food. So they aren't teddy bears, they can actually kill you. Like my barn owl can scratch my eyes out or can make me bleed severely, but killing me, I mean, if it really wanted to kill me, it could kill me, yes, but like, you probably understand that this is not very likely to happen. But eagle owl, do not mess with eagle owls. You should really know what you're doing if you're getting an eagle owl. My mentor told me that he would recommend someone being in the falconry for about 6 years at least before getting an eagle owl. You should know everything about falconry before you get an eagle owl. But if you have a lot of experience with birds of prey, you can definitely get an eagle owl, and you can actually train them very well. They do very good at demonstrations, and yeah, they fly just as well as barn owls. They just might be a little more aggressive with their food. For example, my mentor has to use 2 gloves when he flies his eagle owl. like one on which the eagle owl lands, and one on the other hand when he gives the one day old chick to the eagle owl, because the eagle owl will also bite his hand. And it's not because it's a mean owl, it's just, it's very aggressive when it comes to food. And when there's no food around, the owl is super nice. Like the bond my mentor has with his eagle owl is amazing. I would have never thought that was possible, to be honest, but it is. So yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've probably forgotten to mention a zillion things. I just tried to make a fun, informative video out of this for you guys. I haven't went into every detail, so just keep that in mind if you're like, I don't think this or that is 100% accurate. This was still kind of superficial. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll be sure to upload more owl videos. Have a nice day, passion fruits! That's right, you guys are my passion fruits because YouTube has become my passion, and so my subscribers are my passion fruits. Whee! Bye!